Walt Disney imagined Disneyland as a mystical location where families might make priceless memories together. But what happens if magic gives way to tragedy? Disneyland is not just magical dust and thrilling rides. It has experienced its share of disasters, including drownings, roller coaster crashes, and unexpected incidents. Today we're going to examine one of the scariest incidences to date, the tragic story of Debbie Stone. Whether it was an accident that resulted in her death or just plain negligence, no one will ever know the truth. While working on a rotating stage with singing animatronics, 18-year-old Debbie Stone got stuck and was dragged between two walls. As of right now, Debbie Stone's passing is the only cast member death. But before we dive in, click like and subscribe right away to avoid missing the craziest stories from the happiest place on Earth. Debbie Stone's name carries a somber resonance in Disneyland's past. Her untimely death in 1974 creates a dark story that draws us to investigate what happened on that fatal day in Mickey Mouse's house. Who was Debbie Stone? On June 18, 1956, Deborah Gail Stone, the first child of Bill and Marilyn Stone, was born in Santa Ana, California. Deborah Stone was a bright, energetic 18-year-old. She was well known for her cheerful attitude and hard-working nature. When Debbie was younger, her mother used to make jokes about how she could call guests over for dinner and entertain them. Debbie was a sociable and cheerful person who radiated warmth and friendship wherever she went. Even at the tender age of 18, Debbie Stone was a sparkling star. She did well in school and sports, particularly swimming and track. She graduated from Santa Ana High School with distinction. She was granted the Principal's Award, given to only one student each year, in recognition of her exceptional achievements. Like any enthusiastic teenager, she had recently enrolled at Iowa State University for the upcoming academic year, but decided to take a summer job. She applied for summer work as a host at Disneyland to save money for college tuition. She immediately landed the much-desired position of Disneyland hostess. Who wouldn't be thrilled to spend their summer vacation working at the happiest place on Earth? It was the ideal way for her to spend her summer before starting college. Debbie had no idea that she would not even make it to her first day of classes at Iowa State University. What caused Debbie Stone's untimely death at Disneyland? The much-loved Carousel of Progress was decommissioned in 1973, and its animatronic elements were relocated to the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. This not only signaled the end of an era for Disneyland, but it also made room for a new feature. Eventually, America Sings took over the space that had previously been home to the Carousel of Progress. Step back in time and experience a musical journey that perfectly captures the essence of American history. On June 29, 1974, America Sings, a magnificent new entertainment, debuted at Disneyland. This innovative attraction offered guests at Disneyland a novel and informative experience. Sam the Eagle, played by Burl Ives, served as the show's host and performed the theme song Yankee Doodle. Beside him was Sam Edwards' voice, Ollie the Owl. Visitors to the park were taken through 4 different acts by the rotating theater, each of which represented a different era of American music. The first act, Going South, presented the middle of the 19th century. The second act, Heading West, portrayed in the late 19th century. The third act, The Gay 90s, centered on the 1890s. In conclusion, Modern Times addressed the early to mid-20th century. America Sings musical tour takes listeners through several American musical eras, each with its own unique charm.
Yes, folks, that was America's first popular song. And that's what this show is all about. America's music.
Where'd the songs come from, Sam?
Why, they were the songs that people brought from their native countries.
They did? What kind of music was it?
Sometimes it was happy, sometimes it was sad. And sometimes it just spoke of love, like I dream of Jeannie with the light brown hair.
The act opened up with the upbeat Yankee Doodle, which established a patriotic mood. I Dream of Jeannie and Pop Goes the Weasel then brought a comical element to the beginning. Act 1, titled Going South, featured a mix of beloved Southern classics, including Dixie, Little Liza Jane, and Camptown Races. Heartfelt ballads like Lord, I Wish I Was a Single Girl Again, Down in the Valley, and the upbeat Down by the Riverside rounded out the show. However, some soulful melodies like Polly Wolly Doodle and My Old Kentucky Home highlighted the vibrant Southern culture. Act 2, titled Heading West, brought the Western spirit to life with songs such as Drill Ye Terriers Drill, I've Been Working on the Railroad, and Fireball Mail. Who Shot the Hole in My Sombrero and Old Chisholm Trail emphasized the Western flavor. The dramatic The End of Billy the Kid and the timeless Home on the Range completed the performance. In Act 3, the Gay 90s era celebrated the 1890s with songs such as She May Be Somebody's Mother, The Bowery, and After the Ball Is Over. Sweet harmonies of The Sweet Sweet Time and the upbeat The Old Gray Mare enhanced the nostalgic vibe, while Down in the Licensed Saloon and Bill Bailey brought the vibrant saloon scene to the stage. Last but not least, there was Only a Bird in a Gilded Cage and the upbeat Ta-ra-ra-ra Boom Day. Act 4, Modern Times, was a lively hymn to music from the mid-20th century. With a touch of nostalgia, the act opened with energetic renditions of classic songs including Jade, The Darktown Strutters Ball, and Sing It in the Rain. Fun songs like A Tisket a Tasket and Boo Hoo, which are ideal for singing and dancing to, kept the party going. See You Later Alligator and Shake, Rattle and Roll brought a rock and roll edge, while Beat Me Daddy 8 to the Bar and Hound Dog had everyone tapping their feet. There was yet more excitement as Twistin' USA put everyone in the mood. With the upbeat Joy to the World, the act ended on a high note and left the audience smiling and humming.
The past is just a start. Tomorrow will bring songs to you that come straight from the heart. Another thing he had to say was life is just a song. So everybody get in tune and let's all sing along. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance
This brought the musical journey full circle with a reprise of Yankee Doodle, which ended the show. The poignant Auld Lang Syne was followed by a huge patriotic Stars and Stripes Forever at the end. With popular songs and energetic performers, America Sings was a vibrant celebration of American music in every act, transporting viewers on a musical voyage through time. When the ride closed in 1988, the majority of its audio animatronic characters were relocated to Splash Mountain. 2 of the long-necked geese became the G2 droids in the Star Tours Q area. Additionally, the rock and roll stork was used as a training ground for aspiring animatronic programmers. That is the whole tale of America Sings and its lovely cast of people. Now, let's turn our focus to Debbie Stone's tragic death. The centerpiece of the attraction was a spinning stage with movable barriers that produced various scenarios. But something went terribly wrong that evening. Around 10:30 p.m., during the stage's shifting positions following the last performance, something awful occurred. The adored hostess Debbie Stone, who was always stood on the left side of the platform, found herself in a potentially fatal situation. It was thought that she became stuck and crushed between the 2 theaters when the walls closed in. Let's examine more closely and uncover the unfortunate sequence of events. Disney's brand new attraction, America Sings, was made by reworking the popular Carousel of Progress ride. On June 29, 1974, an automated musical spectacle honoring the history of American music debuted. There were some hiccups and mistakes on America Sing in its initial few weeks of operation, as was to be expected. However, nothing was too alarming compared to Debbie Stone's tragedy. The performance was not a roller coaster, but rather a display where guests could see animatronics sing well-known songs from various eras, which taught children about American history in a fun way. The ride included 6 stages placed in the center of the structure. These 6 stages revolved around providing theater-goers the chance to see each well-known performance in order. The presentation lasted 24 minutes and included 4 large musical acts accompanied by animated animals singing a mix of classic songs. The attraction's innovative design allowed it to manage sizable crowds while maintaining quick wait times. The concert was hosted by 6 different stages, which were actually kind of one. It was a big circle, divided into 6 wedges, each of which had an animatronic scene on it. They would give you a different history lesson and sing a different song. There were 6 theaters centered around these 6 stages, and each theater had 6 rotating audiences. Rather than rotating the stages, the audience moved around them. An audience would come in every 4 minutes, and the previous crowd would leave. The Disney hostess's role during such a presentation was to stand on the left side of the stage, welcome the audience at the beginning of each performance, and wish them good night at the end of each show. She also had to ensure that everything was operating as it should. There were a lot of cast members, as they referred to their employees at Disneyland. To provide guests with the most magical experience possible, these cast members undergo extensive training. Some former workers have humorously referred to the intensive training as brainwashing. Even if it might be overstated, all Disneyland employees are held to extremely high standards to ensure they are always joyful, moral, and family-friendly. This rule applies to all Disney employees, including executives, senior management, and teenagers like Debbie who have summer jobs. All personnel are trained to follow the Disney way from the very first day. They are reminded of their crucial role in keeping the magic alive. Workers are urged to dedicate themselves to the organization on a personal and professional level. We've only covered 1/3 of the story, so don't go anywhere. If you haven't already, please subscribe to ensure you don't miss any more thrilling tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat. While certain rides require Disney personnel to work behind the scenes, other attractions require someone who can interact with visitors in a friendly, positive, and engaging manner. They need someone who embodied the Disney spirit. Debbie Stone possessed all those qualities, so they decided to select her. She was the ideal Disney cast member, barely 18, stunning, and just 5 feet tall. After a little more than a month of service at Disneyland, she easily stepped into the America Sings hostess position for the evening shift. Her duties included waving to guests as they entered the theater and saying goodbye as they left. She had a small station with the microphone close to the stage where she could talk with guests. It was an easy job. Like all Disney employees, she just needed to be pleasant, friendly, and enthusiastic. The only issue was that the theaters on the former Carousel of Progress revolved around the nucleus in a clockwise direction. As a result, the walls on the stage's left side separated from one another. The new ride, America Sings, however, is a different story. In America Sings, they switched the rotation, making the walls on the left side of the stage move in opposite directions before closing to divide the two theaters. Debbie Stone worked the evening shift at America Sings on that tragic night. She called her parents right before her shift, declaring her love for them and asking for their approval to get engaged. It was clear that her parents were thrilled for her. It was the final run of the evening. It was about 10:30 p.m., and the America Sings attraction was ready to close when they had the last audience. It was almost time for the park to close. The stages were moving for the 45-second break. The crowd was frightened by a spine-tingling scream coming from behind one of the walls during the last performance of the animatronics.
No flash photography here in our theater. Also, for your own personal safety, remain in your seats at all times, especially while the carousel is in motion. Feel free to clap and sing along, but please remember, no flash pictures. And now, America Sings.
And now, let's travel on through history and hear America Sing. Sing it, Sam! Yankee Doodle traveled south, riding on a riverboat. Played a tune and sang it out, it sounded like a billy goat. Yankee Doodle liked the South, sang their song so dear. Thought they were most elegant for everyone to hear. Yankee Doodle singing up to Yankee Doodle bang.
Because there had been random noises and sound effects, several audience members assumed it was all just part of the act. But most of them came to see how unbelievable it was to hear a terrified scream amid animals shouting praises to America. It was meant to be an entertaining kids' attraction. A piercing scream was entirely out of place. They had no idea that Debbie was back there, bleeding, crushed, and battling for her life. Everyone realized the dire circumstances when they stopped the animatronics and turned on all the lights. A little while later, at around 10:30 p.m., the operators raced to the scene and were shocked to see Debbie Stone trapped between the walls of the two theaters. Her body had been crushed totally, and it had dragged her along with it. News of the tragedy soon spread across Disneyland, and staff members began to wonder which of their co-workers had just died. A short while later, it was revealed to be Deborah Stone. Debbie's death stunned her friends and family, set off a legal battle, and sparked a larger conversation about theme park safety regulations. This incident created a great deal of worry and brought up significant questions regarding theme park safety. Many were compelled to reevaluate the safeguards put in place to protect both staff members and guests. The terrible incident had a significant effect on the theme park industry as a whole, in addition to leaving a lasting impression on Disneyland. It sparked a wider discussion about safety requirements, which resulted in more stringent laws and procedures to guarantee that an accident of that magnitude would never occur again. The world moves on, the media frenzy fades, and Disneyland reopens the attraction. Everything returns to normal, at least until the next mishap. However, Deborah Stone's tale doesn't fade away, and people are still inquiring about her. People are interested in learning more about Debbie. Some others even assert that they broke into the shuttered America Sings facility in an attempt to speak with her memory in the eerie silence. Daniel Robinson, 33, an Air Force officer from Castle Air Force Base outside Merced, was sitting in the front row of a neighboring theater with his family. He reported to the investigators that he heard a scream, looked to his right, and saw what appeared to be a child being pulled between the wall and the platform. He said he alerted the operators when the platform stopped. Her father, Bill Stone, speaks quietly. "We received the call at about 2 in the morning. A resident of a different street told us that the deputy sheriffs were searching for us. They approached the house right before I hung up." Bill and Marilyn remember the day officials entered their home and gave the terrible news like it was yesterday. Marilyn responds, "I still remember that. I have a clear mental image of the two people who were present, as well as what they and I said. You naturally fall into shock when you hear it. Your emotions are there, but they've been so muted as to be practically non-existent. There's no greater agony on earth for a parent to experience than losing a child. Ask anyone who's experienced it. However, the Stone family's friends, family, and faith allowed them to survive the tragedy. "She was our first child," said Debbie's mother. "She used to be an extrovert, constantly running around the neighborhood, picking up friends and bringing them home. She would be thrilled to share a treat and beg me to give them a cookie when they were small. Debbie was an outgoing, well-liked child who did well in school and sports, especially track and swimming." Her father added, "You could tell what kind of athlete she was very early on. While going through some of her belongings, I discovered dozens of different ribbons and medals." Marilyn Stone noted, "There were so many people praying for us. A nun who was present at the scene wrote a letter to us expressing that she started to pray and that the people around her also started to pray. I am aware that God has truly covered us with a unique presence. Since Debbie was a Christian, we are certain that she is in heaven. I've asked this question a lot. How can people experience tragedies without knowing the Lord?" says Bill Stone. "I'm still not sure." Marilyn remembers, "It was about 3 months before she died. I knew right away that she would be leaving home to go to college when I saw all of the letters she'd received from universities one day in the mailbox. Subsequently, she became engaged and announced her departure, leaving me without her company. I started crying uncontrollably. God seemed to be preparing me for her death at that time, but I assumed she would be going off to college, getting married, and never returning." Marilyn said, "Our pastor was on television with another woman whose daughter had passed away at the age of 18, even the night before she passed away. When Debbie passed away the following night and we had to deal with it, I watched the full program, and it was really helpful. And because she was a really special and giving daughter, we immediately thanked God for her life. I wanted to take her shopping for shoes and clothes when she was about to graduate. When we got to the store, she told the salesperson, 'My mother wants a pair of shoes, and she also made me buy a dress for myself.' She had an extremely selfless mindset and did not think about herself." Deborah's father also thought about their only daughter's generosity. Bill remarked, "I believe it was shortly after she graduated. It was in her nature to give us both modest gifts, which she did. Giving is what she would rather do than receive." Bill Stone can still clearly recall their last exchange of words. "She had called us the night before she passed away, asking if it would be okay if she got married," he said. "She was calling to ask for our consent because she had become engaged that evening. Other than actually going through with it, I believe the toughest thing I had to do the entire time was contact her fiancé in the morning to break the news to him." Although the Stone family didn't blame Disneyland for the mishap, they launched a lawsuit against the park, which they quietly resolved a few months later. According to Bill, it was a small settlement, and it certainly wasn't for the money. It was to ensure that if there was any kind of danger present, changes and improvements were made on that specific ride and any others that needed it. Her parents recall that Disneyland was very thoughtful even after the settlement. During such a difficult period, the staff visited their home frequently, giving flowers and offering support, which helped lessen their sadness. A representative for the Disneyland Resort, Bob Tucker, said, "Our greatest sympathies are still with Deborah's family. Our top priority is keeping our guests and employees safe." We've hit the halfway mark and there's still so much more to come. Stay tuned till the end, but before moving on, take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Bill and Marilyn Stone found it most astounding how many lives their daughter's death had impacted or transformed over the years. Countless individuals from various parts of the United States, Europe, and South America started sending letters of sympathy to the Stone family. Some of them even shared personal experiences with her parents about the significance of Deborah's friendship in their lives. One such letter came from a youngster the Stones had assumed was no longer alive. "We were unaware of this until much later on after Debbie passed away," Bill remarked. However, she had assisted a youngster she had been friends with who was known to be addicted to narcotics. Marilyn said, "I can't recall how long it was later that he called to tell us that her passing served as an inspiration for him to turn his life around." How many people she impacted in her final moments is astounding. How did she end up in such a terrible situation? Despite a number of possibilities, nobody is certain what went wrong in the first place. Debbie had a small station at the front of the stage where she stood to welcome the crowd and say goodbye at the end of the show. How she ended up where she did is still a mystery because she had no need to leave that spot. According to some speculations, she might have skipped between stages and miscalculated the timing when it was dark. Some suggested Debbie was perhaps leaning over to talk to one of the cast members who was standing close to her on stage. Debbie was crushed alive when the revolving wall closed in on the one stationary, regardless of the cause. Following the horrific event, Disneyland shut down the roller coaster for 2 days, and the stage where Debbie died stayed closed for a full year. America Sings was closed for just 2 days after this terrible tragedy. America Sings is not operational anymore. After the tragedy, the attraction was operational for a further 14 years until 1988. After this tragedy, they fixed the breakaway walls to prevent issues if the sensors stopped working and added sensory lights to alert the operator if someone approached too closely to the barriers. Despite the initial tragedy, the attraction ran well and problem-free for the next 14 years. America Sings is an attraction worth remembering, even if all of its elements have finally reached the end of their road. For a show that was supposed to run for only a few days, it had a far longer lasting effect on Disneyland than anyone could have ever predicted. After America Sings closed in 1988, the building was vacant for several years. The building was renovated and reopened in 1998 to house the new Innoventions attraction.
Honey, we have company! Oh, don't worry, thanks to Innoventions, having unexpected company is a snap. But getting them to leave is still a nightmare. We're still working on that. Yes, sir, we've got all the latest things. And I'm not talking Mr. Coffee, whose work I admire, by the way. I'm talking smart relatives of mine. Genius gadgets that take the hard work out of housework. You want digital, analog, interactive, hyperactive, radioactive. Can you believe it? It's all here. You're gonna love it.
Wait right now is about an hour. So if you like wait, continue. Just to let you guys know.
Innoventions was a Tomorrowland attraction at Disneyland in Anaheim, California, inspired by the Epcot attraction of the same name. This near-futuristic technology-focused attraction debuted on July 3, 1998, as a part of the new Tomorrowland. The attraction closed on March 31, 2015, after over 17 years of operation. From 2013 until its closure, its primary focus shifted from the Marvel Cinematic Universe to character meet and greets with superheroes. It was housed in the circular two-story Carousel Theater where the first floor's outer half revolves. The building was occupied as offices before Interventions opened its doors in 1998. Splash Mountain removed all references to Song of the South when it closed permanently on May 31, 2023. This decision resulted from the controversy surrounding the movie that serves as the attraction's inspiration. Based on the folk tales of Uncle Remus, Song of the South is a 1946 Disney film combining live action and animation. The Oscar-winning hit song Zippity Doo Dah served as the inspiration for Splash Mountain at the Disney theme park. The movie has never had a complete distribution in the United States due to claims of racism and stereotypes. The attraction was replaced by Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is based on the film The Princess and the Frog. The changeover into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which has already started in Walt Disney World, will start at some point. The main log flume attraction will remain unchanged, but new characters based on The Princess and the Frog will replace the existing cast. However, at least some of the America Sings animatronics have a reasonable chance of surviving. Concept art for Tiana's Bayou Adventure has hinted at the appearance of numerous additional animal characters in the upgraded attraction. Even though they might all end up being completely new animatronics, it's possible that some of them will be present in the attraction, but in a different role. What would happen to the animatronics for America Sings after Splash Mountain closed is unknown. When the Interventions closed in 2015, the structure reopened as the Tomorrowland Expo Center, which included Superhero HQ on the second floor and Star Wars Launch Bay on the first. Superhero HQ shut down in 2016, while Launch Bay closed its doors in 2020. Disney Vacation Club members can now use a lounge on the second floor, while the first floor is now exclusively available for special events. This heartbreaking incident turned a magical night into a nightmare, leaving everyone shocked and extremely grieved. Many Disney employees have reported seeing her ghost and hearing a voice telling them to be careful at the same location. Urban tales have also been made around her. Whether or not these claims are true, Debbie is undoubtedly still leading and supporting others even through her death. As we reflect on the amazing life of Debbie Stone, it's clear that her legacy of kindness and compassion deeply influenced innumerable people she touched. Even one of her former classmates gave her credit for helping him quit his drug habit. Her family has received passionate letters of gratitude from both strangers and friends. Deborah's former high school honored her with a memorial, despite Disneyland officials never doing so. That year, once classes began, Santa Ana High conducted a special ceremony to open a new pool that had been renamed in Debbie's honor. It was a perfect homage because she was an exceptional swimmer. Together, her friends, classmates, and even some strangers established a scholarship fund. They created the Deborah Stone Award, which is given each year to the best student, guaranteeing that her influence will continue to motivate the next generations. At the end of the day, everyone wants to enjoy themselves and make wonderful memories with their loved ones. We can ensure that these moments are joyful for all by prioritizing safety and exercising caution. Do you believe that the legislation should tighten the criteria for theme park licensing, or should park authorities step up their safety procedures to prevent these deaths? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for sticking with us until the end. If you found this topic eye-opening, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay updated with more stories and important discussions.